welcome to another edition of the morning show right here on the new Main Street TV. We appreciate you so much for tuning in with us this morning. Of course, Jennifer here, and we are going to head on over to our morning news update, of course, done every morning by the news expert, our good friend Pete Wilson, and he is here with us as he just sprinted up the stairs. He cannot breathe, so we will give you a minute to catch your breath. Pete.
You are so right.
those steps are a killer. But no, Pete's Morning News Update brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you have any real estate questions, she is your hometown girl, the one that's been here working for a long time. She knows real estate in this area, and she will work hard for you. So give Nia a call, 740-418-4135. All right, Pete, did you catch your breath yet?
Yes, I
Okay.
think we can go as long as I slow down just a little bit.
Okay, so what in the heck is going on in the news?
Okay, well, we do want to once again thank everybody who made our interview with Rod Bentley of the Vinton County Lady Vikings head coach and all the girls who appeared on our show yesterday via Skype or however James pulled that off.
Yeah,
there you can see the screenshot of some of the scenes from the TV show. It has received a real good response, which we thought it would, because it's such big news right now. But Coach Bentley made time to come down here. The school officials allowed the girls to be on the air, and so we certainly do appreciate that. We've got lots of coverage in the paper as well, which we'll talk about just a little bit later. We'll show you our paper too, and I would say that probably 30% of it is Lady Viking stuff. So, but that's appropriate right now.
Hey, well deserved.
Exactly.
Hey, while we are on the subject of the Lady Vikings Skyping in yesterday, I just want to let everybody know, you see Myra there in the lower middle with the cat photobombing her. I can confirm the cat's name is Shadow.
Shadow. That was hilarious. So her cat, photobombed while she was on the TV. It's pretty funny.
I thought we needed to make sure that we reported the news and got the cat's name right.
We know the name is Shadow. Okay. Right. Mystery solved.
Well, we certainly hope the cat brings her good luck, because she is one of the seniors and one of the starters on the team.
That's right.
So, but anyway, just such a great week going on in Vinton County. It's one of those ones that people will remember for years and years and years, no matter what happens, Friday in Dayton. But once again, the bottom line is the Lady Vikings have made it to the Final Four, the Division II state tournament. Their game is at 2 p.m. on Friday over at the University of Dayton Arena. That's where the state tournament for the girls and the boys will be this year. And there you see a shot of our front page paper. Final Four, that's what it's all about in those big letters. We want to thank everybody who helped with all the coverage. And the graphic design there, that's a product of Andy Hudnall, who has been with our staff now for about a year, does a great job in graphics. And I told him, I gave him a couple pictures, gave him some information. I said, do the Lady Vikings proud, and I think he did there. And our paper, of course, is out on the newsstands now, Jennifer, and we've got a lot of information, not just about the regional championship game, but about the upcoming state semifinal game, a column from Red Thompson Jr. with a little perspective of how strong the Lady Vikings program has been for many years. He came to Vinton County to work in 1994, and they had a district championship team that year, or a team that made it to the district championship anyway. And there are some local and personal connections that he knows about. So I think it's all very interesting, whether you're from Vinton County or not, how this small county team has made it all the way to the state's Final Four. But last night, or yesterday, this is part of the celebration process, the courthouse officials had the Vinton County Lady Vikings over as their special guests. There they are. You can see all the girls there, the coaching staff, some of the county officials. Of course, they had a proclamation declared in their honor. They have declared this as Lady Viking Week, which you might guess. And then they let all the girls, they let the seniors ring the bicentennial bell. up in Vinton County. They keep that in the courthouse lobby, and they only usually ring it on Veterans Day in honor of and Memorial Day in honor of the Vinton County veterans who have died in service to their country. But they rang it on Tuesday in honor of the Lady Vikings and the trip to the state tournament. The courthouse, by the way, will be closed this Friday to allow employees to either go to the game, see the game, or listen to the game. Once again, it is during working hours at 2 o'clock. If the Lady Vikings are fortunate enough to be victorious in their game against Shaker Heights Laurel, they will be playing Saturday at 5 o'clock against the winner of the game between Dayton Carroll and Napoleon. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, elsewhere in the news, the Wellston School Board had a very important meeting on Monday night, and as a result, we found out that there's just a little bit of disagreement between the board and the superintendent on administrative contracts. This is one of the main stories that we have on our front page if you want to read all the details. But what happened was there was a special meeting on Friday evening, and this was all in executive session to talk about contracts. But in that meeting, apparently, from what came out at Monday night's regular meeting, is that the majority of the board, at least 3 of the members, there's 5 members on the Wellston School Board, the majority members of the board made it clear that they wanted these administrative contracts that involve some of the current administrators to be 2-year contracts rather than 3-year contracts. So we roll forward to the meeting on Monday night, and when the meeting was held and the contracts were presented to the board for approval, the superintendent, Karen Bach, who is, of course, the leading executive there for the Wellston City Schools, on the agenda, they were there as a 3-year contract. She recommended 3-year contracts instead of 2-year contracts. Well, the board members who wanted 2-year contracts, Jennifer Pittman was one of them. She spoke up and said, well, I thought we worked it out. It was 2 years. Well, then Karen Bach later responded, well, the board has the right to do what it wants, but my recommendation is for 3 years, and she wanted that on the record. So what happened was they voted 4-1 to change the agenda so that the contracts for these administrators were for 2 years rather than 3 years, and they were all approved. So, you can see right out in the open there's a little disagreement there. Those contracts involve the following administrators: Director of Student Services, Leah Massey; High School Principal, Megan Sowers; Bundy Elementary Principal, Dana Eberts; and Intermediate School Principal, Michelle Lanning. As for Karen Bach herself, she had a 2-year contract that is ending soon, and I know that she was seeking a multi-year contract. The board instead granted her a 1-year contract. So, you can see we have some issues there, agreements there between the majority members of the Wellston School Board. Remember, we have 5 members, and the administration. So that story is detailed in our on our front page in Wednesday's paper, also online, of course. The Jackson County Health Department will be having a COVID immunization clinic tomorrow, Thursday, March 11th. This is very important. Remember, we told you yesterday that the governor had announced a new phase of the vaccination process, and among those that are included in this, the big new group is ages 50 and up. Remember, we have done ages 60 and up. You can still get your vaccination if you're older than 60, but new groups open up each week, and this week it's ages 50 and up, and that, of course, is a very big group. That clinic, you do not have to make an appointment if you're in that age category. You just need to show up over at the Jackson First Church of the Nazarene from 10 a.m. till noon or 1 p.m. to 5, and that clinic will be repeated on Tuesday, March 16th. So 2 opportunities out there if you're ages 50 and up in Jackson County to get vaccines through the Jackson County Health Department. Once again, these clinics are for people ages 50 and older and anyone else who was part of any prior vaccination target group. So if you somehow missed vaccinations that you were eligible for before, ages 60 and up, people with certain medical conditions, people with certain occupations, here is another opportunity. You youngsters can get them just a little bit later. Your time is coming.
all we have to do is go to Alaska.
Yes.
Alaska. All right.
Anybody in the state of Alaska is eligible to get your vaccine at any time that you can get to.
They opened up the state and said, "Hey, if you're 16 or older, come on in. We'll shoot you up."
Well, everybody has heard about, the potential side effects of the vaccine. Of course, everybody wants to know how effective it is and all like that as they weigh whether they should get one. I am a COVID-19 shot survivor, a second shot survivor.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You
right.
got your second one?
Right. Yes, I've had my second one. I had it last Friday.
Okay.
And here is my experience. I had my first shot not quite 3 weeks ago. It was on a Tuesday, and I had absolutely no effects whatsoever other than a little bit of a sore arm. Everybody's arm is usually a little bit sore after a shot. Some people maybe more so than others. So I was hoping that the second shot, where there tends to be more side effects, I'd get away with that. Well, here's what happened to me. Had it on Friday morning and felt good the rest of Friday evening. Went to bed, felt pretty good. Woke up Saturday, and I didn't feel so good. And I did not consider myself sick in the terms that I had any nausea, splitting headache, fever, a little bit of a chill. But what hit me, Jennifer, was fatigue. I mean, I could hardly drag myself across the room.
Really?
Yeah, I just felt like I was one of those inflatables that I had a needle stuck in me. I just had no energy whatsoever. I come in on the weekend and usually work. I don't know whether I could have done that on Saturday. Instead, I drove my wife on a shopping trip because I knew it had to be done. And I was able to keep awake driving and walk around the store. If I could find a chair, I sat down.
Yeah.
My appetite was okay. The food tasted good. But that day, all I wanted to do was sit in a chair and kind of nod off. Not necessarily go to sleep, just
chill out.
Just rest. Exactly. And usually I don't feel that way. I haven't had the flu since I was a kid, so I can't compare it to that. But when I woke up on Sunday, I was 90% and I could function as I normally could.
Okay.
And
it is so interesting, the stark contrast that you hear from people.
I know he wouldn't mind if I tell you about it, but at the same time on Friday morning, Dan Morrow got his shot.
Yeah.
And it really hit him hard. Chills, a fever, splitting headache. I don't think the nausea, but just, didn't feel like eating, and also had the great fatigue as well. I tell you what it was like. It was like if I went out at my age and played a pickup basketball game, tried to play one, or played tackle football, that would be how I felt the next day. Because I not only was fatigued, but I had a general tightness and soreness. I can't call it pain. I won't even call it an ache, but I just felt like I'd been put through the ringer.
Like you'd gone and lifted some weights and you're not used to it or
something.
No,
exactly. I felt like someone had really worked me over that owed me a beating.
I've heard everything from not a darn thing happened to me, had absolutely nothing, to people like lying on the floor, like literally with such a fever that they couldn't, stand up.
Right.
Kind of
and my wife,
so weird.
She had her second shot vaccine and first shot vaccine same time I did.
Okay.
And her arm was sore, but no effect whatsoever. First or second. And me, nothing on the first, but I had what I described on the second.
It would be interesting to see, I'm glad we're talking about this, it would be interesting to see, the different, what vaccine did you have?
I had the Pfizer.
The Pfizer
And
one.
they are doing Pfizer and Moderna at the Jackson County Health Department. I don't know that they're doing the Johnson & Johnson one-shot deal, but I know it's available, I think, at some of the vaccination providers here in Jackson County. I know Vinton County Health Department has it. It is... some people want it because they think they can get it over in one shot, which of course they do. So people may be choosing that as it becomes more available locally.
It would be interesting as, time moves on and they do studies to see if like one vaccine has more side effects than the other, or, we don't know that right now because it's all so new, and I'm sure they are studying that, but.
All right, but anyway.
Well, we're glad you survived.
But yeah, that was my experience. On Saturday, I was thinking, I really need that shot.
I know.
But I know that there were lots of people who felt a lot worse, who had the shot, who had the second shot, and a lot of other people who had COVID that felt a whole lot worse than what we did for taking a shot. So I try to keep that in perspective.
I feel like they do say that if you can take that day off, just in case, it is good to do it on a Friday or something if you don't have to work the weekend or whatever, just to make sure that you're going to feel up to it.
Right, exactly. So, but
kind of plan around it.
Vinton County reported yesterday, the Vinton County Health Department, no new cases. So they have had 2 cases the entire month of March so far. 10 days, only 2 cases. We've not had a report from the Jackson County Health Department since March 1, but that was when they had 12 cases over a 4-day period. So I'm thinking that the numbers in Jackson County still are very low, which is good.
Sounds good to me.
All right, and we do want to report that once again, those mass vaccination stations, 15 of them around the state, will be open, I believe, next Wednesday, March 17th. If you're having trouble getting a shot locally here in Jackson County or in Vinton County, they will have a permanent station open starting March 17th. Chillicothe would be the closest location. There will be a mobile mass vaccination clinic set up in Athens by the Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine's Community Health Program. This will be one that will go around to different places. Maybe they'll make their way into Jackson and Vinton counties as well, but we've not received the specific information on that yet. Okay, we want to talk about State Treasurer Robert Sprague's visit to Jackson County last week. We haven't got to that yet, but it was worth mentioning, even a little late. Robert Sprague is second from your left in that picture. From the left, you see Commissioner Paul Haller, Ohio Treasurer Sprague, County Commissioner John Hensler, and County Commissioner Donnie Willis. And they talked about a number of different things. And they talked about Jackson County's needs. And this was a chance to get the ear of a state elected official. And the 2 things that the commissioners talked about was, there were several things, but 2 of them were the need for water service, everybody getting water service so you don't have to go to a water vending station or something like that, and broadband service. We're hearing a lot more about that lately. There's programs in the work to extend broadband, but they let Robert Sprague know that this is very important, not only for the residents, but for businesses that are in areas where there isn't real good internet service or no internet service. And they also talked about the expenses involved in county projects when they have to do a building project. Like the commissioners have to do some major work at the courthouse, some repairs, some remediation work. And this is money that they just don't have in the budget, several $100,000 to do things and still run county government. So they talked to Robert Sprague about some sort of funding program or state assistance that might be available at some point, or some financing program that might make it easier for the counties to do these projects without sacrificing regular county operations. So I know that the commissioners and local government officials appreciate when a state official like Bob Sprague makes the trip down there and listens to you firsthand, And this isn't an election year, so you always give them credit for that. Last night, Jennifer, the Oak Hill Village Council met, and they voted to use their latest CARES Act money from the federal government to extend hazard pay to their employees, which you can do. And for the Oak Hill police officers now, they will receive hazard pay in addition to their regular pay from the village, an additional $4 an hour, March 9th through July 9th. And so that's a nice extra bonus for them. And that is because they're at greater risk. They obviously do not have the option when they're dealing with the public or dealing with an emergency or a law enforcement situation to say, I'm not going to touch you. I'm not going to take you into custody. I'm not going to talk to you about the burglary that occurred to your house. I'm not going to hand you a traffic ticket. You are forced to have exposure with the public, some of whom may not be protecting themselves, may not be vaccinated, may be asymptomatic carriers of COVID-19. It's still a danger. So they qualify for hazard pay. Other employees who work with the public, but not police officers, they will receive a hazard pay as well, but at half the rate of the police officers. All right, we also want to tell you about a new exhibit at the Marquette Cultural Arts Center. It involves the artwork of two very well-known local people who are artists. Paul Brown, that's Paul on the right, and that is the other artist, Megan Peters, on the left. And they are having a joint exhibit at the Marquette. It actually opened last Thursday. Some of their best work is on display. I understand that some of it, at least, is for sale. And the Marquette is open through regular gallery hours. You know, you don't have a ticket. No, it's free admission. It's from noon to 5 p.m. on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Those are the hours. I think that maybe you might be able to arrange hours by appointment of viewing or whatever, but for sure it's open from noon to 5. Gallery there's just some good room in the gallery. There's never too many people there at once, so you don't have to worry about the social distancing. And once again, as I told you, it is free. This exhibit will continue through March 27th. And from being just a journalist guy, I'm not the farthest thing from an artist. I'm always so impressed by what the work of our local artist does, and you know firsthand because your mom is so talented.
Yes.
You really have to see it to appreciate what some of our local folks can do. And the latest that are in the spotlight are Megan Peters and Paul Brown.
The fun thing about this exhibit is there's such kind of opposite styles of art. Having an exhibit at the same time, so it's really kind of fun.
Right, exactly. Well, you know, art is a highly creative thing, obviously, and people have their own styles, and the diversity of it, you are right, is as remarkable as the creativity.
That's right.
All right, we also want to let you know that our Jackson County dog warden, Deb Fout, has announced that they are going to extend the dog tag license deadline from March the 5th. Remember, we told you that the deadline was March 5th. Yesterday, they announced that they're going to extend it to April the 1st. They just know that it wasn't as easy for people to go out and get the dog tags, not only because of being a little bit nervous maybe about being out, but also because some of the places where it was available, they were not open for dog tags because, you know, you don't want a lot of traffic in some of these vending places. But until April 1, dog tags can be purchased not only at the Jackson County Dog Pound on Reservoir Road, but at the Jackson County Commissioner's Office, in the courthouse annex, at the Jackson County Auditor's Office, at the courthouse itself. Also now at the Mount Zion Animal Clinic and the Animals Unlimited Clinic, both on the edge of Jackson, and the Pawsawow Animal Shelter out in Franklin Township. There are also drop boxes available to make payments through dog tags at the Colton Village's offices and outside the courthouse on the porch. We do want to remind you that the Southeast Ohio Food Bank is continuing an on-site food distribution through income-eligible residents in a 10-county area. This is taking place at the Southeast Ohio Food Bank at Logan. That's located at 1005 CIC Drive. And I mention this because that 10-county area includes both Jackson County and Vinton County. If you want more information, contact the Southeast Ohio Food Bank. That number is 385-6813. And this drive-through food bank distribution is operating all the way through the month of March, Mondays through Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we want to remind you, we reported this before, we're going to remind you again, though, because they're big events. Both the Jackson High School Alumni Association and the Wellston High School Alumni Association have announced that the big alumni events usually held on Memorial Day weekend have been canceled this year due to the pandemic and the fact that you really have to plan 2 or 3 months ahead of time if you're organizing it and also if you're going to attend it. A lot involved in that, and they made the decision, both of them very recently, that it's too many questions and they'll forego it this year, but they hope to resume definitely next year. And they'll probably honor 3 graduation classes, the class of 70, the class of 71, and the class of 72. Both associations put the 50-year class in the spotlight, and there was not an alumni activities through either school last year either because of the pandemic. Okay, here we are. Here is where we are.
There it is.
There we are.
That
Okay.
way.
Okay.
There.
This is our paper. We've got a lot in it. We told you about all the Vinton County coverage. Some of the stories we talked about today and earlier in the week, it's all in here. on the newsstands. If you're a subscriber, you can certainly catch it, the whole paper online as well. You can see a sampling of the articles online. Even if you aren't a subscriber, you can see what you're missing. And of course, on Facebook, we do post some of our articles. Some of them are free. Many of them are behind a paywall, but it gives you an idea of what's out there in the newspaper today.
Very good, Pete, and we appreciate that. One question I have before we let you go. Have you heard anything about any of the local fairs or festivals being canceled or going on?
Well,
or...
the latest that we have is the Wild Turkey Festival was teetering in MacArthur,
okay,
because it's the first week in May.
It's always the first one. It's the kickoff to festival
Right.
season.
Well, you know, the news has been better on the COVID-19 front, and so it's got a shot. It will probably be announced within the next week or two.
Okay.
But they had already made some preliminary plans, but they had them on hold to see. So we should hear about that in the next week or two. The Oak Hill Festival of Flags is on.
Okay.
They took, you know, there's different ways to do it. You could say you're off, and we hope we're on, but we don't know whether it's going to hold or not. That's what the Oak Hill Festival of Flags do, and they're planning like they're going to do it.
Okay.
And if it wasn't going to work out because the pandemic didn't get any better or it was stuck in neutral, they could always cancel. But you have to plan ahead of time, and so they say we can. So
awesome.
The Oak Hill Festival of Flag is on, and I know the county fairs are definitely on. It's just how they do it.
Sounds good. Thanks, Pete.
All right, you're very welcome. And don't forget, Friday's ball game, it's at 2 o'clock, 1:45 p.m. broadcast time on WYO 98.7. Jeff Thacker will be there to broadcast the game.
That's right.
And of course, you know, it's all accessible on the internet as well through the Total Media app. So once again, that's WYO 98.7 FM. And if the team wins on Friday, we will be back Saturday evening. Well, actually, technically late afternoon, 5 o'clock.
Hey, we hope so.
All right.
All right.
And we do plan to have coverage in our Saturday paper, which, you know, you think, well, why wouldn't you? Well, newspaper deadlines and printing deadlines are accelerated now, but we're going to push it, and we're definitely going to have something in our Saturday print edition about the Friday ball game. And, of course, we'll have more of it online because we can.
Very good.
All right.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Of course, Pete's Morning News Update brought to you every day by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you have any real estate needs, questions, anything, give Nia a call, 740-418-4135, and she can help you out. Okay, speaking of the Total Media Radio app, let's go on over to the weather forecast. And don't forget to download that Total Media Radio app where you can listen to live local radio on your phone by downloading the app at the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. And depending on what phone you have, listen to all 4 stations at the touch of one button. Pretty darn cool stuff. And then you can tune into that Ladies Vikings game for absolutely free and listen on Friday. All right, so your weather forecast, man, oh man, I haven't gotten to do one of these in a long time. For today, partly cloudy skies, highs around 70 degrees. Doesn't get much better than that. Tonight, partly cloudy, lows around 54. Then on Thursday, tomorrow, looking like some rain popping into the forecast, but those highs still up around the 70-degree mark. Little bit colder as the weekend rolls around, but still certainly not nearly like we had, a couple of weeks ago. So we'll take it. All righty. We have, I think, is our special guest here? Okay, our guest is here. We have a really, really cool surprise for you today. And we have a special guest. And his name is Evan Shaw. And he is joining us via, well, you know, the power of the internet. Hi, Evan.
Hi, how are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Well, how are you?
Good. Thanks so much for having me today.
Oh, thank you. I know you were a little under the weather yesterday. Hope you're feeling better.
I am. I was under the weather. I actually am fortunate enough that I got my vaccine. A local pharmacy had an extra dose at the end of the day, and it kind of knocked me out for a day, but I am ready to take over the world. The relief I feel is incredible. Yeah.
I can only imagine. So good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and Evan, you do some really cool things, and I know that James knows you and was telling me about some of the neat things that you've done, but more, I guess, notably around our area is the Our Town series. So we'll get to that in just a minute, but first off, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name's Evan Shaw. As you mentioned, I grew up in Meigs County. If you could see there you go. There's my giant glowing Meigs County over the back corner of me. Grew up in Meigs County, went to Ohio University where I studied video production. And from there, I ended up getting a job with the National Football League, the NFL. So I'm a cinematographer for the NFL, which means every Sunday I go out to a football game somewhere across the country, film the game, and it airs on ESPN and places like that. And then I also work at WOUB, the public television station up here in Athens, where I produce a series of historical documentaries called Our Town. And every year what we do is we select a different city around the area or different community and try to tell its history. We have done 7 of those. We did Jackson a couple years ago, which included interviews from Megan Malone and Barbara Summers. I saw them in the chat. And then this year we're working on Chillicothe, which is a really exciting city to work on.
Very cool. And how did you get the idea to do these Our Town series?
So the goal of public television stations, one of the goals, and especially ours, is to provide coverage for communities that are sometimes overlooked. And as we all know, in southeastern Ohio, we don't have major media markets, So WOUB is one of the stations that does provide some coverage around here. So we were looking for ways to really provide some more local content and to kind of tell these stories that are incredible stories of communities in this area from people that have done amazing things on the national and international stages, as well as just normal, good, hardworking people from this area, and to kind of give these places a little bit of publicity in a good way. So often what we hear about southeastern Ohio is from a negative or a deficit approach. We're not here to talk about the problems. We do have some things we have to work on, of course, but I want to focus on all the good things and amazing things that have happened in this region over the past literally thousands of years, when you go all the way back to the Adena and the Hopewell Native American cultures, and 1000 BC. So that's kind of where it started. We wanted to provide content, local content for this region with stories that people need to learn about.
So what have you, so you have done, I know you're working on Chillicothe, you did Jackson. What are some of the other areas that you covered?
Yeah, so the very first one we did was Lancaster, and that was back in 2014, and that was when I was kind of figuring out what I was doing. I didn't tell anybody that I'd never done one of these before. We started Lancaster. Sure. So we did Lancaster, then we did Pomeroy, which was great for me because, again, my hometown, my home county. From there, we did Nelsonville, Jackson, Morgan County. We decided to do the whole county because I realized I couldn't talk about McConnellsville and not talk about Malta. They may have a little bit of a problem with that. And then last year we did Gallipolis. I apologize to Marianne Campbell and everyone in Gallipolis.
Marianne will kill you if you say
I know. I cannot believe I'm going to blame that on being early in the morning. So Gallipolis and now Chillicothe will be our 8th one.
Very, very good. And Marianne gets a little testy about that.
I know. And that's a joke for her. I always try to tease her about it a little bit.
I have a funny story about that. So my dad started radio 100,000 years ago, and one of his very first jobs was working for Marianne Campbell in Gallipolis. And he said he went to sign on and said He said it wasn't 5 seconds before Marianne came bursting through the door and very nicely or not nicely corrected him, and he said he would never do that again.
Exactly. I always make sure I'm very careful about what town or community I'm in. Now, if I'm down south in South Gallia, I'll call it Gallipolis. But if I'm in Gallipolis, I make sure I say it correctly. Exactly.
All right. So, first off, where can people see these documentaries that you have done? Sure.
So all of the ones we have produced are available on WOUB's website. We have a program called Pbs Passport that is available for members of WOUB. And not to pitch it, but it's very affordable. It's $5 a month or something. And what that does is it allows you access to the entire PBS catalog of not only our local content, but as well as Ken Burns documentaries, cooking shows, stuff like that. So they're all available on there on demand. And then the Chillicothe episode will premiere sometime this fall. We have a date in mind, but we're kind of holding off before we announce it officially, just to see how things go. We know what kind of world we're living in now, but it will premiere this fall at the Majestic Theater. And that's what we like to do, is have an in-town, in-person screening every year. At Jackson, we had at Jackson Middle School. And that's such a fun time because we have several hundred people from the community come out and have a day of just celebrating their history and celebrating their community. So the Chillicothe episode will be at a free, I can't stress that enough, it is free screening at the Majestic Theater this fall. And then it will also air on WOUB and be available as well on our online streaming platforms. Last year in Gallipolis, we were 3 days from having it finished. It was actually, I think today, almost a year ago to the day, when we had to go home, and that put the premiere back until the fall. So Chillicothe, we decided to go ahead and move it back this year, knowing the way things are. But we're really excited about that.
That makes total sense. And the world is just
as I like to say, the world's on fire right now still. So we're just kind of waiting. Exactly. Just be flexible.
That's right. I have definitely come to the conclusion that the word whatever really entered my vernacular quite a bit. I was like, whatever.
Yep. It's kind of a good thing. I think we all needed that refresher of let's just relax for a minute. So, but we're working hard on it right now, and it will come out this fall. Again, as soon as we feel comfortable, we'll release the date. But stay tuned to WOUB on our website, and you'll see information coming out about that.
Very, very good. We look forward to seeing it. All right, so let's talk about the skinny for a minute. What are some of the things, let's get down dirty, some of the things that you found out, or interesting things that you found out about each place that you visited that you may not have known?
Okay, well, yeah, I could spend hours on this. Since this is an interview about Jackson, I think, or taking place in mostly Jackson County, one of my favorite stories is the story of a gentleman named Charles Shopshear. And for those who don't know, Charles Shopshear is a fellow from Jackson County back in the 1940s. And he joined the Army, as most young men did, and went to World War II. And when the Japanese finally surrendered in 1945, the United States Army marched into Tokyo to kind of take back control of our embassy there. And there was a big ceremony, a big celebration to signify basically the end of World War II. And General MacArthur came through, and he's standing there and salutes an American flag being raised over the embassy. And that flag was raised by Charles Shopshear from Jackson, Ohio. And so there's just one example of one literally farm boy. I have a great picture of him on his family's farm holding, the reins of one of his cattle, his big old heifer. And he ends up in, a defining moment in world history. And then you go back, other stories, a fellow from Meigs County named Commander William Outerbridge fired the very first shot of World War II. He was commanding a ship in Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, and sunk a submarine. So there's a fellow from Middleport who basically started World War II. He's credited with firing the first shot. And a guy from Pomeroy actually captured Robert E. Lee's flag at the end of the Civil War. His name was Charles Shorn. And I always get Charles Shopshear and Charles Shorn. I can never get those straight. But Charles Shorn from Pomeroy captured Robert E. Lee's flag at the Battle of Appomattox Courthouse. Those are some interesting ones. In Chillicothe, one of my favorites that we've found so far is a gentleman by the name of Harley Warwick. And he was from up around Bainbridge area. And everybody's seen the mail pouch tobacco barns that are painted around the countryside, pretty much all over the Midwest and over the country, really. Well, Harley Warwick from Ross County, Ohio, was the preeminent barn painter in mail pouch tobacco barn history. He painted over 20,000 barns in his lifetime, in his career. And he did them all by hand. He hand stenciled in the letters. And I just think that's such an interesting slice of Americana. Everyone recognizes a mail pouch tobacco barn. I drove past 4 of them on my way to high school in the mornings. And those little stories like that of individuals from our region, they inspire me because he grew up just like the rest of us and put his mark on our country's history. So those are just a couple of the fun little stories. But again, I could talk for days and tell you story after story of people, and even more stories that didn't make the films, because these films are only an hour long. And that's the problem, is how do I squeeze in a couple 100,000 years of history with the glaciers and the natural history up until the present day into just an hour? But that's the fun challenge.
And it would be. And how do you pick and choose? So crazy. Yeah, I have a friend that had given me an article about the male pouch guy. She's an artist, and
Uh-huh.
had given me an article about him, and I think she knew him, and you know, obviously tobacco is, you can say whatever
Right.
you want to say about it,
Right.
but the fact that the male pouch barns still exist, that's pretty cool Americana stuff. You are
And
correct.
yeah, and from what I've found in my research so far, I got to confirm this, but they actually made an exception to the tobacco advertising laws just for male pouch tobacco barns. Because remember, there was a time, I believe, in the 90s when the Marlboro Man had to go away and things like that.
Yes.
But they decided that male pouch tobacco barns are such an institution of our country's culture that they can stay. So he kind of got an exception to those barns, which is incredible, really, when you think about it.
That is very incredible considering
Yeah.
the PC society in which we live in today, right?
Right. Right.
All right, so let's talk for a minute about your NFL career. How
Sure.
cool is that? So you actually get to go be on the field at NFL games, do camera work there. How did that happen? Like, how does a guy from Athens, Ohio, how does that happen?
I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I'm not going to lie. So it all started back around the turn of the century in 2005 when I was a student actually at Ohio University. And I was working at WOUB where I work now, but as a student. And there's a high school football show that many people have probably seen called Gridiron Glory. And as a college student, we would go out and film football games, Friday night games. The very first game I ever filmed actually was Meggs versus River Valley, which was awesome, to sit there on the sidelines with my coach and film, my old high school coach. And from there, I realized I really enjoyed it because I love sports. I was never good enough to play sports in college or professionally, but this gave me a chance to still be on the sidelines, but I didn't have to go to two-a-days or lift weights or run or get yelled at quite as much. So I kind of realized this is the perfect thing for me to do. And from there, I got an intern. Exactly. I get to go eat a hot dog at halftime instead of getting yelled at because I missed a block. So from there, I turned that into an internship actually with NFL Films in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, which is just outside of Philadelphia. And again, I'm from Meigs County. So my very first day of my internship, I had to drive a 15-passenger van full of $500,000 worth of camera equipment and all these, my mentors, into the middle of New York City to do an interview in the middle of New York. So you can imagine someone like me growing up here in southeastern Ohio, all of a sudden being transported to Fifth Avenue in a giant van trying to drive down and find a place to park. But from there, I worked really hard on what I tried to do is take my work ethic that I think I kind of grew up with from being around here, and I just worked really hard of carrying things and carrying cases. And TV work's a lot more of a physically demanding job than you would think. So I just worked really hard to be there whenever they needed me. And at the end of it, they ended up giving me a tryout to film my first NFL game. And it was this Pittsburgh Steelers game. And I got there and shot the game, and it was awful. I messed up so bad. But fortunately, my boss, I was terrified. I had never been to an NFL game before. Yeah, and I'm 22 years old, and I'm standing on the sideline, and there's Ben Roethlisberger 3 feet from me, terrified. And so, yeah, I didn't do great. But fortunately, my boss either felt bad for me or he understood the situation and gave me one more tryout. And that was in 2006, and I just wrapped up my 15th season. So I have been to every NFL stadium over those last 15 years except Chicago. For some reason, I've not been able to get there yet. I've done 7 Super Bowls. I was scheduled to do this year's Super Bowl. I was getting ready to go, and I was supposed to leave on Thursday. Wednesday morning, I woke up and I had broken my foot. So I didn't get to go to this year's Super Bowl.
No.
It was awful. Yeah. I was trying to figure out any way I could go, but I don't think I can carry a 40-pound camera with a boot on my foot for 5 hours. So that was a little disappointing, but yeah, it's been an incredible experience. I've got to travel the country, and I think it's a cool thing because I like to show young kids in this area that, again, I grew up just like everyone else. I still live in Athens. My parents still live 10 minutes away, down in the county, but I can work with the NFL. It's really incredible that I have this opportunity. And sometimes I will look around in the middle of a game and just kind of literally pinch myself. Like, what am I doing here? How did this happen? So I'm incredibly lucky for it. But yeah, I'm on the sidelines Usually I'm in a blue vest. That's how you can find me, because NFL Films wears blue. And I always have a camouflage hat on. That helps my mom find me, but it also helps me sneak up on the players because they can't see me in my camo, and I can get better shots that way.
Very sneaky.
Yeah, exactly. You have to play the wind just right so they don't smell you, but after that, you're good.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Just don't stay downwind of them.
Right,
so,
right.
So what is involved in filming an NFL game? Like, I mean, do you get a break? Like, I mean, it has to just be several hours of intense, just go, go, go.
It is. And you get there about 4 or 5 hours ahead of the game, get everything set up, get my camera built, get the lenses on, check out the light, how that's all looking. There's a lot of hurry up and wait. We get there super early, so we're all prepared, and then sit there for a couple hours to make sure everything's good. And then once that ball kicks, I'm following the ball pretty much the entire game. Where it becomes a challenge is a lot of times I'm the only NFL Films cinematographer on the ground. So that means I have to cover everything. So I also have to be in front of the ball most of the time. So if there's a big play, that means I have to sprint and get down the field, sometimes 120-yard sprint if I'm in one end zone to the other. So by the end of the game, I'm pretty wiped out because you're running to get in front of the play, but you're also carrying this big camera around and stuff. So the airplane ride or the car ride home I get a little sore, start to cramp up a little bit on the way home, especially now that I'm getting older. I found that happens a lot easier than it used to. But yeah, it's about 4 or 5 hours of just focused in as hard as I can be on what's happening and trying to find interesting storylines. And that's something that we really focus on at NFL Films, is not just following the ball, but what are the storylines of the game? Who's having a good game? Who's not having a good game that we should follow? Things like that. But yeah, and then when the game's over, I pack my stuff up, hop in my car, or head to the airport and come home. So it's literally the best job in the world. I don't know how I got this fortunate. It really is.
That sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
so it's never boring, right? Like every day is a new challenge. Every game is a different game. So
yes, and that's honestly, that's why I love documentary work and TV work in general. I could never sit in an office and do the same exact thing every day. I'm very glad we have people who can, because we desperately need them. My brain doesn't work that way. Can't do it. So every day, literally, in my job is something completely different. I can remember specifically a couple years ago, we were doing a documentary about the state prison system and mental health issues in the prison system. So I was in a prison one day interviewing prisoners. And then the very next day, I was at a local historical society interviewing, this wonderful lady at the historical society, and she made me brownies and had glasses of milk and coffee with little sugar cubes. And so every day, like one day I'm in prison, one day I'm eating cookies from a little old lady at a historical society. It was the best thing ever. So yeah, and then on a Sunday, I'll be at an NFL game. So I get around a little bit. And hi Vicky, I see someone in the chat. But yeah, every day is a completely different experience for me.
Well, I did see that our friend Barbara Summers said that you like chickens. What's that about?
So when the world shut down last year, I decided I need to buy some chickens. And I bought 25 chickens that we were going to process for meat, right? That's how I convinced my wife that this is just a short-term livestock deal, just to prepare ourselves for the pandemic. Got to provide for my family,
Uh-huh.
And then I realized, well, if we're going to butcher these chickens, my 3-year-old's going to be very upset that one day there are no more chickens left. So we bought some laying hens. And now I have maybe 30 or 40 chickens in my backyard. I don't know. I love them. It's honestly, and people laugh, but it's been the most therapeutic thing I could ever done during this pandemic, because I just go and sit in my backyard and watch my chickens do chicken things, and it's the best.
Listen, I would have thought you were crazy a couple of years ago, but my father-in-law does exactly the same thing, and he loves his chickens, and they're just like family.
They're my best friends. Because I don't get to see anybody else anymore. So I sit in my, and we let my 3, he's almost 4, we let him name the chickens. So we have Boogers the rooster. We have Cuddles. One of them's name is Hat. It's the best. So yeah, and it's springtime now. So we're getting ready to put some eggs in the incubator. And I could talk more about chickens than I could my day job, but I won't.
That is such a good story, though. What a fun little sidelight to
it's
talk
the
about.
one of the good things that came out of this pandemic was, hey, I became a chicken farmer, and I love it. So I actually got a phone call yesterday. I was on the middle of a Zoom meeting a couple of days ago, and the mayor called me and said, hey, your chickens are in the road, because he lives across the street from me. So sometimes they get out, but that's all right.
That's how they do chicken things.
Exactly. And he thought it was hilarious, so we're all good.
That is so funny. All right, so we have a few minutes left. I do have one question for you. Now, you're standing on the sidelines of an NFL game. What is the craziest thing that's ever happened to you? I know you've been run over. I mean, it's had to have happened.
Yes, I think that's probably the craziest, like, in the moment things are when I get run over. It doesn't happen often. As I've gotten older, I've decided to take a few more precautions, for my body. Occasionally I've been jumped over. But the key to that is, if you're filming a game and someone's coming at you, your first instinct is to jump up and run out of the way. But I've learned to just tuck in and let them move around you. It's kind of like when you're in a grocery store and you're both pushing your cart and someone else is coming, and you do this little number, and you both go the wrong way. You don't want to do that with a 275-pound man running full speed at you. So you just tuck in and let them go. You will lose every time. Yeah. I've been hit and run over a couple times. But really, the coolest part actually is Super Bowls at the end. They shoot all this confetti out everywhere. And every year I grab handfuls of confetti and stuff it in my pockets. And my wife always like, why are you bringing all this trash home? It's just pieces of paper. But I do a lot of speaking in schools in the area. And so I like, when I'm talking to elementary school kids, I like to take a big bowl of confetti so they can take some home with them. Because it's, that's pretty unique to have confetti from the field of the Super Bowl that Tom Brady may have walked across. So that's one of my favorite parts of the year, is at the end of the year grabbing the confetti at the end of the Super Bowl and making confetti angels.
Really cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
And how many kids get that opportunity to touch confetti that's been on a Super Bowl field?
Right, and that's kind of the way I thought. And sometimes they're even in the shape of the Lombardi Trophy, like they're special ones and stuff. So I let them pick through and pick out the ones they want. So that's one of my favorite parts of it.
Very, very good. I love that story. All right. Don't want to end on a negative note, but has there been any jerks that you have encountered?
I'm going to take the fifth on that and not calling them out by name, because I'm still employed by the National Football League. But occasionally.
I figured you'd say that.
Yeah, the one thing, though, is, when I'm working, it's my job, and I try to be as professional as possible. So while I do interact with the players, we don't speak that much, because then I become a fan. So I keep my distance and keep it professional, basically. But occasionally you'll have some guy who doesn't want, me in his face filming him, and I understand that and respect that and politely back out. But there have been some good ones too.
Well, that's what I was going to say. On the other side, has there been anyone, I don't think they would mind, that you've met that's been really super cool and nice to you?
Baker Mayfield's actually has been really good every time I've been around him.
Really?
There are a lot of, absolutely. I know, right? And see, this is what I'm here for, to kind of help that out. You would not expect that, but he's always been fine. I'm trying to think, who else? No one else is really jumping off the top of my head. One of my favorite parts is, for about 5 years before I joined WOUB, I worked for the Ohio University football team. So I did all the video for Coach Solich and all those guys. And there are a few players who played at OU who are now in the NFL. TJ Carey was with the Browns. He's with the Colts now. And I've known him since he was 18 years old. So getting a chance to see him on the sidelines on a Sunday afternoon is always really cool, because, we get to catch up and talk about our kids and stuff, because we've known each other for over a decade now. That's one of my favorite parts too, is seeing guys that I've known since they were in school. And then now they've made it to the NFL.
That is cool. It's almost like you've raised them.
In a weird way, yeah. It's like, I was making videos of you when you were 19 years old, and now look at you. Yep. So I've always really enjoyed that. Well,
that is super cool. And we are coming up on time. I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your day to be with us. It's been one of the most interesting interviews, and
good.
We certainly really appreciate you tuning in. again, let's plug your Our Town series. How can people see it? When will the Chillicothe one be out? What do they do?
Absolutely. So to see all of the ones, including Our Town Jackson, which includes interviews with folks like, again, Barbara Summers, Megan Malone, Jeannie Gendra, Robert Irvin, folks
Yep.
like that, Bob Irvin. You can find that on PBS Passport for WOUB members. And if you're already a WOUB member, you probably already have access to it. So call the station and find out and make sure. And that gives you access to all the Our Towns, and again, pretty much all PBS content, which is it's like the Netflix for PBS. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And then Our Town Chillicothe will be coming out sometime later this fall. We haven't released a date yet again, but it'll be at the Majestic Theater sometime later the fall. I'm not even going to say a month because I don't want to jinx it. But yeah, later this fall, it will also air on WOUB and then be made available on Passport as well.
Very good. Well, Evan, thank you so much for being with us today. This is wonderful. And if you have anything new and exciting to talk about, please stop back and see us anytime.
I definitely will. When I get my rare breed chicken farm up and off the ground, I'll let you know, and we'll do a tour of the farm, and you can come out and see all my new chickens that I get.
Only if I get a hold of chicken while I'm doing it.
Absolutely. Hold all of them you want. I'll give you a 50% discount, too. I'm kidding.
It's a deal.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you again so much for having me.
Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye. All right. Wow, what a fun interview. Our good friend Evan Shaw from WOUB, also NFL cameraman. Pretty neat stuff. Local guy does a lot of good stuff. So we are very, very proud of him. All right. Do have to get out of here for the day. Did want to thank our friends at Callahan Hardware, your everything store. Don't forget to stop out and see them for any of your needs as far as nuts and bolts, keys being made, furnace filters, on up to seasonal items. So they are there for you. Also want to thank Chip and Kathy Smalley at the shop. Custom engraving, jewelry repair, watch repair, any of that fun stuff. 988-2841. Give them a call and they'll be happy to help you out with that. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to our friends at the filling station, the store at Broadway and Penn and Wellston, and Quick Stop right here in Jackson. And don't forget, the Quick Stop has been newly remodeled, so if you haven't stopped by there, you need to. And the great thing is they kept that crispy, crunchy chicken, so you can stop and still get that and check out all the newly remodeled stuff as well. And I did want to thank, of course, Mark Carmen and the gang at Carmen's Used Cars. If you need a vehicle, if you're just looking for something in particular, give them a call and visit their website at carmensusedcars.com, and they'll take good care of you. I promise they will. All right, James, do we have anything else?
Just, like Pete said, make sure you pick up today's edition of the paper. I mean, that's right. This is one that you might want to save, especially if you have kids that are in the Vinton County school district, or if you're from Vinton County. Very good. Definitely you're going to want to pick up a hard copy of that today because it's one that's worth saving.
You got it. And go Lady Vikings. And as I said yesterday, we're sending all the good vibes we can your way for Friday's game. So, all right. Thank you for setting that interview up, James. That was fun.
You're welcome. He's a talented guy and an interesting guy and a good talker.
He is, for sure. Good guy. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy that 70-degree weather and some sunshine out there. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.